Morning. Okay. Have a low tech, you have a high tech.
Okay, it's working. It's gonna be a picture. You can start. You're up. Can start. It's working.
Okay.
All right.
Erev Tov, everyone. So we are all aware that Moshe told the Jewish people in the name of Hashem, "V'yikhu li truma." They should take the truma li to me. So Rashi immediately comments that li means lishma. In other words, the donations to the Mishkan were given without an ulterior motive. So for the Mishkan, they didn't have plaques, they didn't have honors, they didn't have anything. You gave to the Mishkan, you gave lishma. You gave from your own heart. It says, Kol ish asher yidvenu libo tikhu et trumati. You need people that asher yidvenu libo, that their heart is in it. They had the proper kavanah. Yet we find, and this is the main idea here, is that when it comes to tzedakah, to giving charity, so then the Gemara says, "Anosim sela la'oni." If a person gives a coin to a poor man on a condition, al manas sheyichya b'ni, that my son should have good health. So the Gemara says, "Arezet tzaddik gomer." He's a 100% righteous person. You're allowed to do that. So from here, it's obvious that the Mishkan is not tzedakah. Now, in our time, the concept of tzedakah is expanded to everything. But in halacha, that's not true. You give money to a yeshiva, that's not tzedakah. It's chizuk Torah. If you give money to a hospital, that's not tzedakah. That's chesed, to be rofei holy mothers, and to the myriad other causes that exist. In the Torah's view of the matter, what we call tzedakah is confined to a human being giving money to another human being. Which is a much narrower concept than what exists in the general understanding of the matter. So by the Mishkan, the Torah makes it clear, I only want li lishmi. I only want kol ish asher yidvenu libo. If you're not giving on that level of intent, you don't have to give. We'll find that there's no mitzvah, not one of 613 mitzvahs to give to build the Mishkan. It's a matter of donative intent. What did the person want to do? What he gave. There's a famous anecdote about Reb Chaim Volozhiner, Chaim Rabinowitz, who founded the Volozhiner Yeshiva, and really is the father of the yeshiva world till today. So he institutionalized the study of Torah. You build a building, you have regular classes, you have regular teachers. And he also institutionalized the support of the yeshiva. Because until then, all support was local. In other words, if you had a yeshiva in Rechavia, you had to raise the money in Rechavia. And you couldn't go to Shari Chesed. Shari Chesed had to raise its own money. Chaim took that away. And he said that the time is of such a nature that the importance of having a central yeshiva in Lita is so necessary. I will send collectors everywhere in Lithuania to raise money for the yeshiva in Volozhin. In other words, Volozhin, he knew, was incapable of supporting an institution, too small a town, and too poor a population. But from all of Lithuania, we could put together enough money to have a functioning institution. So the story is told that a man came to Reb Chaim and said to him, you know, I want to give a certain amount to the yeshiva. And when the collector comes to my town, I will give it to him. But I don't want that my donation should be used to cover his expenses. Chaim also instituted a rule that as long as 51% went to the yeshiva, it was still legitimate. So he said, if I give 1,000 ruble, I don't want that 490 ruble should go in the horses for the carriage, for the expenses. So I want you to assure me that when I give the 1,000 ruble, you will use that 1,000 ruble only for the upkeep of the yeshiva. So Reb Chaim answered him as follows. When they gave money for the Mishkan, and they given money, when they gave gold and silver and materials for the Mishkan, so everybody wanted that their gold should go into the Aron Kodesh. So how did Moshe know whose gold to use for what purpose? So that is why it says, Kol Asher Yidvenu Libo. Moshe was able to read the heart of the donor to know what his level of intent was when he gave the gold. And the higher the level of intent was, the stronger his altruism was, then that gold went into the Aron. The less it was, then the gold went into other things. Finally, it even went into the gold that was woven into the garments. So he said the same thing as when you give money to the collector. What is your intent? If you have a higher altruistic intent, so then the money eventually will be used for the yeshiva itself. If you have all sorts of other intents, then some of it has to go into the horses. Because without the horses, we wouldn't be able to survive. So it's not the yeshiva, he said, that decides where your money goes. It's you. Whatever your intent is, and the Ribono Shel Olam is Bochen Koyos Valev. He reads our hearts. He knows what our true intent is. So that will be how the money is used, and that will be its purpose. So the Mishkan teaches us this basic and important lesson. The difference between tzedakah and institutional giving. So in our time, a lot of our giving is determined by tax laws, by accountants. It's hard to fathom what the intent is. Many a time that I tried to collect money for the yeshiva, and very well-meaning Jews told me, my accountant says I can't do it. So he's not the master of his own wealth. His accountant is. So that's the measure of intent. That's why the Torah emphasizes v'yichuli l'shma. The Mishkan, we're talking l'shma. We're not talking tzedakah. Tzedakah is, no matter what your purpose is, it's acceptable. It's kolish asher yidvenu libo tikhu es trumasi. And that's why it couldn't be a mitzvah. Because you can't be mitzvah the person. Or it's asked the question, how can you say, well, does Hashem lakecha b'chol lemo v'chol nafshecha b'chol modecha? So there's a sheet there that it b'chol meodecha it's talking about. But b'chol lemo v'chol nafshecha, nobody can command you. And many a time, the person himself, if not most of the time, we don't know what our heart tells us. So therefore, in the structure of the psukim lies this difference between tzedakah and between institutional giving, and also lies the fact that it's our own donative intent that sets the bar as to what the money will be used for. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer, what's HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Zakos is Israel, Fichachir B'lahem. Torah mitzvot, Shadem, Rananah, Chavei Simon, Sitko, Yatil